Hey guys, I'm Lacey and this is Arnold. And today's practice will be a short practice for runners. This is a great one to do post-run or maybe later on in the evening. This is going to include mainly mobility work, some gentle stretching to ease up any tension that might build up in your legs, your neck, and your shoulders post-run. Let's go ahead and get started. Start off in a comfortable seated position. Once you're seated, just give your shoulders a roll back so you're opening up a bit more space on the front side of your chest. And then keep that space open, but just start to take some deeper breaths up into the chest and downward toward your belly. And once you start to get that deep breath flowing, it signals to the nervous system that your body can relax and some of the tension will just naturally begin to unwind. Keep that deep breath going. Bring your chin down to your chest and slowly roll your right ear over to your right shoulder. Give this a few seconds so you're getting a nice stretch on the left side of your neck. You should feel some of these smaller neck muscles, so you just want to be gentle as you're going into the stretch. And you can use your right hand to add a little bit more pressure to it. From there, stretch your left arm out to the left, bend your wrist, and face your palm away from you so that as you stretch your palm away, you're tilting your head over to the side and you're increasing all this sensation down the left side of your neck, your shoulder, and your arm. Let's hold that for a few breaths. Okay, and then release that. Let's go over to the other side. Just roll your chin through center and over to the other side. And you're hovering your left ear over your left shoulder. You're getting into the right side of your neck. You can add a little pressure using your left hand. And then stretch your right palm away from you and elongate from your fingertips all the way to your ear. And then release that stretch and roll back through center. And you can bring your head all the way back upright. Interlace your hands together and stretch your arms up. Reach up with your palms and just go into a little bit of gentle movement. It might feel really good to go from side to side or any other movement that feels good. As you're doing this, take deep breaths. Go ahead and release your arms down and come over onto your hands and knees. On your hands and knees, move your spine through a few rounds of cat and cow. Cat and cow just allows the back muscles and the front muscles to move and stretch as you go through those spinal movements. Come to a neutral position and let's make those movements, but we'll make them really small with the shoulder blades. So instead of moving your spine, just squeeze your shoulder blades together on your back. Your chest is going to go down a little bit and then draw the shoulder blades apart and your chest will lift back up. Okay, so try not to move your spine or bend your elbows while you're doing this, but instead just get your shoulder blades moving so you stimulate and move the muscles between the shoulder blades. A couple more rounds. Okay, now that we've had some movement in the arms and shoulders, let's go into downward dog. Tuck your toes under, let your hips lift up, and just avoid sinking into the shoulder joints, but keep the shoulders nice and strong and active, and play around with the stretch for your legs, especially your calves. So it might feel good to push one heel downward and hold that for a few seconds, and then press the other heel downward. And you can gradually increase the sensation by bending the opposite knee as you push the heel down. And just take your time moving through those stretches. I find that when you feel stiff and tense in the calf muscles, downward dog can feel like a really amazing stretch. So it might even feel good here just to press both heels downward for a few breaths. From downward dog, step your right foot in between your hands, lower your back knee down, and if you want some extra cushioning under that back knee, you can either fold over your mat a few times to make it a little thicker, or grab a pillow or a blanket to add some more cushion. From there, walk your hands up and onto your front leg, bring your torso nice and upright, and keep your torso upright as you press your hips forward into the lunge. And just go slowly into the stretch. You've got time to breathe here. Take those nice deep breaths. All right, bring your fingertips down to the floor. Tuck your back toes under and raise your back knee off of the mat. Walk your fingertips around to the left edge of the mat and turn all 10 of your toes to face that left edge. So you're in a wide-legged forward fold stance. And here, if you do want a little extra prop, you can place something underneath your hands. It can be yoga blocks or it could be any other objects of a similar size and consistency. And then maybe just start to move around in the stretch. You can bend one leg at a time, just easing into the hamstring sensation. And it may also feel good here to relax your neck and shoulders. From there, come up onto your fingertips to lengthen and walk your hands around to the back end of the mat. So you're walking around toward your left foot, lower your right knee down onto the mat, and walk your hands up onto your front thigh, coming into that upright position. So we'll go into the kneeling lunge on the left-hand side. Staying upright, slowly press your hips forward into the lunge. Lower your hands back down, tuck your back toes under and lift your back knee, and walk your hands back around to that long edge of the mat. So all 10 toes are facing toward the left side. And you're going back into the forward fold so you can repeat what you did on the last round. Or if you're feeling pretty stable through your legs, take your arms behind you and interlace your fingers together and just gently stretch your knuckles back, opening more into the front side of your shoulder. Press firmly into your feet, but you can keep your knees softened or bent in this forward fold. Release your hands back down to the mat. Walk your hands around to the top end of the mat so you're facing your right foot, and then step back into downward dog. You can be still here or add some movement, maybe pedaling out your heels. Lower your knees down onto the mat and open your knees a little bit wider. Send your hips back toward your heels like child's pose, but we're just going to add a little side stretch to child's pose. So walk your hands over to the right, interlace your left hand on top of your right hand. And as you bring your forehead downward, lean into your left shoulder, left rib, so you're getting a side stretch on that left side. And just take a few deep breaths here. And walk your hands through center and over to the other side. Interlace your right hand on top of your left and lean into your right side. Bring yourself back through center and shift forward onto hands and knees. And you can walk your knees a little bit more forward on the mat just to give you some room back behind you. Sit back either onto your heels or maybe use a block or some pillows underneath your hips so you're a little bit more lifted up. Just make sure it's not hard on your knee joints or your ankle joints. And we want the thighs relatively parallel to each other. The thighs are actually going to rotate inward toward each other here slightly. And you might choose to lean back. I like to just take my hands back here because it adds also a shoulder and chest stretch. So we're really opening up the front side of the body right from those thigh muscles to the shoulders. Slowly bring your torso back upright. Lift off of your props or your heels. And you're going to come down onto your belly. So just walk your knees further back. Lower yourself to the mat. And stretch your right arm out beside you on the floor in a cactus position. Now this could be like a 90-degree bend in your elbow, or you could go a little straighter with the arm, or you could go more bent. So you may play around with that a little bit here as we go into the stretch. Place your right cheek onto the mat, and then you might roll a little bit at a time onto your right side and onto your right hip, and that will intensify the stretch in the front side of that right shoulder and chest. And then just slowly roll back to center. Slide your right arm in and set your left arm up in the same way. So you've got that relative 90-degree bend, maybe a little more or less. Turn your left cheek onto the mat and maybe roll onto your left hip a little bit at a time. Roll slowly back to center and gently bring your left arm in. Let's come all the way up to hands and knees gradually, and just walk your knees forward enough that you have space to come through to a seated position. In seated, bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees open out to the sides. And slide the feet a little bit more forward so your knees can relax down gently. Then go ahead and fold over your legs. Relax your neck and shoulders and breathe into your back. As you bring your spine back up, take the knees up and stretch your legs out in front of you, maybe keeping a slight bend into your knees. Reach your arms up overhead and fold forward over your legs. You can hold onto your feet, your ankles, your shins, or rest your hands on the mat and relax your neck and shoulders. Slowly bring your spine upright. Cross over your shins so that you can roll forward onto hands and knees. And with your knees and feet close together, tuck all 10 toes under. And when your toes are tucked, just ease a little weight back by sitting your hips back toward your heels. Now, I'd like to only go into a moderate or mild stretch here. This feels best for me, but if you do want to bring your torso more upright, you can definitely do that. That's going to add a lot more pressure on the toes, so just be really mindful. And come into a stretch that does feel really comfortable. You can take those nice deep breaths. And then go ahead and shift your weight forward, untuck your toes, and it tends to feel good just to tap out your feet after that stretch. From there, place your right foot on top of your left arch, and you're gonna sit back so that your body weight sits onto this right heel, and essentially you'll press that right foot down into your left arch. Now you may need to move your foot around a little bit to find optimal positioning on that arch, but you're adding that nice pressure into your bottom left foot, and you'll definitely come across some good sensation if you start to explore. Come forward, uncross your feet, maybe wiggle or move your feet around, and then we'll set up the other side. Place the top side of that left foot onto your right arch. Sit your body weight back onto the left heel and just press down into the arch of your foot. Maybe move it around a bit. Just linger in that compression for a few breaths. Come forward, and you can wiggle and move your feet. And then go ahead and come through to seated so that you can lie down onto your back. Once you're laying on your back, cross your right ankle over your left thigh into a thread the needle position. So this is going to be your option 1, and you can bring the legs in for thread the needle. You can hang on to that left leg to give you more sensation, to bring that right shin closer to you if you need. Second option is very similar, but will give you a slightly different feel. So rather than having the ankle crossed to thigh like thread the needle, you can cross your right leg all the way over. So it's like you're sitting cross-legged, and then bring the knees in toward your chest and just hang on to your legs. You can hang on to your knees, your shins, your feet. And what I like about this is it's really customizable. You can move the shins and the feet around. You can bring the knees closer or further away from you and really experiment with the sensation. Now, keeping the legs crossed, just bring your left foot down, wrap the right leg over tightly if it's not, and just scoot your hips a little bit to the right, and then twist your knees all the way over to the left. So you come into a nice reclined twist. You can open your right arm out to the right and very gently bring your right shoulder blade closer to the mat. Take your twist back to center, unwinding your legs, and we'll do those same 2 stretches on the left side. So you can either do thread the needle or wrap that left leg over like you're sitting cross-legged, and then bring the knees and the legs in, and you can hold on to them. You can customize the stretch, and you might be able to get a bit more into that outer left hip if you're playing around with the angle that you position your legs, your feet, your shins. And we'll just give that stretch a little time, so go into it nice and gently. And then to go into the twist, release down your right foot and wrap that left leg over tightly, and just scoot your hips off to the left-hand side and twist your knees over to the right-hand side. And once you've done that, you can open your left arm out to the left, gently press your shoulder blade downward.
Go ahead and bring your twist back to center. Unwind your legs and stretch out on the mat. We're just going to take a short rest. Just give yourself a little time to relax, to close your eyes, to breathe. And I'll bring you back in just a little bit. Begin to bring some movement back and take a little time to stretch all the way overhead, stretching along your entire body. Roll over onto one side from here and gently press up to seated.
Hopefully this practice leaves you feeling a bit more spacious and relaxed throughout your body. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I'll see you again soon. Namaste.